You have a fascinating column out here. It's called GameStop may be a game, but Nokia sure isn't. Can it be looked at as sort of a national security threat if you see this type of activity happening around Nokia stock, for example?
I don't want to overstate it. Maybe explicitly saying it's a national security threat might be a little bit too much, but we've seen that Nokia actually is the biggest gaining stock, or at least it was before today, in Europe, and that is almost exclusively because of the Redditors, piling in and buying up Nokia shares. By the same token, the size of that increase was about 30% at its peak. That's in percentage terms a lot less than GameStop or AMC, but it was still sort of 6, 7, 8 billion euros in market capitalization, pretty substantial sum. The difference is, of course, between Nokia and those other two companies is that, for all of the importance that it has for its employees and its own shareholders, and of course the hedge funds who are short on it and the way it's affected them, they're not systemically important. Nokia is one of 3 dominant makers of telecoms equipment in the world, alongside Ericsson and Huawei. And in countries like the US and the UK and France, you're no longer really going to be allowed to use Huawei equipment if you're a mobile operator. That means you're dependent on Nokia and Ericsson. There's a certain instability in the stock at Nokia. It affects their ability to get capital at predictable costs, and therefore, perhaps adds a bit of fragility to their business, which is a risk.
So, look, in your opinion, Alex, do you think that given what we're seeing with Nokia and what we could see with other European companies, if they start to get, in your words, swept along the tide, what are the implications of that for not just executives, but perhaps regulators?
So, the risk, look, if it's all on the upside, if people buy this stock and stick with it and the share price holds up, then if you're an executive or an investor in the stock, quids in, you're happy. The risk, of course, is that at a certain point, the cold, harsh realities of the company's, financial situation, of its earnings, it's expecting revenue and profit to decline this year, with some recovery coming further down the line. If that prompts a sell-off, and we've seen a 15% sell-off today, that clearly there's a concern that the sell-off might exceed where it was before the increase, the Reddit-driven increase started. But the greater concern is the volatility. That if you're unable to predict your cost of capital and you say with some certainty what it's going to be over the next few months, that does affect your ability to do business and to fund your projects, particularly a company like Nokia, which is having to invest in 5G. It's lost the race a little bit so far on 5G equipment. It needs to invest to catch up with its competitors. And for all that an increase is good in the short term, it's only good if it holds. And if it prompts volatility in the stock, it's a negative.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.